On this U.S. Open, it's tennis. Andrea and I, including Naomi Osaka, win a single slam. Controversy in the women's anything with officiating. Make of Serena's condom as Prime Spin on the Prime Sports Radio now. It's Monday the 10th. This is Prime Sports Network tennis host and former Andrea Leanne. This Open is in the books. Still a lot of tennis, but the slams are performance by Osaka. A lot about WTs over the past year since whether or not they had what a next step beat totally after what I saw. But after what I saw from Osaka, just like we saw with Sloane Lang, I'd put her in the same class as physical and mental talent.
No question about she's had talent, and there's a Sloane because she's had some Sloane as far as results leading into the U.S. the big premier mandatory, huge moment for her, but sketchy results and also dealing with the expectation curves and really having to get in place to in such incredible and playing such incredible tennis, the most consistent tennis you could in this terrifically in the final competition in the entire title.
And you take a look, again, as I said, tennis, and has been at least for the fact that I'm champions. And talk a little bit about not only Osaka, but from the past 2 weeks that have been...
Well, of course, we're going to get to know Naomi Osaka. Very clear that she's Haitian, the Asian world, absolutely. They're going through the roof with this. A Japanese player wins. It's such a huge moment for that. I tell you, Greg, I can't imagine the big deals that will come her way. The expectation, too, she deals with it. You mentioned a bit of trouble last year after she matches, and it really took her in that corner. It's going to be does with it. She's such a nice girl. She grew up in Long Island. Told people, there's a lot of will and in her. And when she was very young, her family as his role model, children, his own daughters, to be one sister is at stand in the world. She goes to 7, breaking into that top 10. Very big moment in so many different. Be very exciting to see how she today. Of course, the promotion continue, and she's been very focused. Obviously, the final, she's handled it all very the moment, and just an.
Yep, and more of the top women. We got some big events coming. Talk about it's unfortunately or for at it. It's the same Dom that win the slam. The way Del Potro played better than that. I'm sure but Novak's back.
It's hard to beat Novak when he's playing such tough defense. Very few weaknesses in his game, frankly. Novak, he moved better. He was more solid, served well enough. He did not really goals. And yes, for a guy who does have weaknesses in his game, relies on those intangible matches as he has in the past. Put off in this occasion because Novak to where he was prior, he took along with the elbow shoes. And you can see enjoying it. He seems to have his team place, and everything seems to existence for him. So he's able to tennis. The fitness is back to his fitness. About a year and a half to reset. And to me, once he has that court, he can get to the ball and have shot making the execution just technically, his strokes are technically. To me, that all falls into 3 in the world. Because Roger has had a very sketchy thing at this point with Novak in point value. It could finish the year at number 1.
Rest of the Champs Open, especially doubles Americans champ.
Well, we want to mention, of course, Coco winning the women's doubles, Ryan teaming with Jack Sutton. Of course, our favorite, that mixed doubles with James. What an exciting moment for her. Tribulation coming back offered at Wimbledon a year ago. Great, happy moments for Americans, rather, with Bethany. So lots of bright for U.S. tennis at the U.S. Open golf. And American girls winning the double there for both of them. It's terrific action. It's terrific, Greg. Yep. And you don't want to lose the new Armstrong Stadium, which was, yes, the humidity and the heat, the entire event, quite frankly. Some things with overall, they had over 820 in the 2 weeks, just fan week. And so it was a tremendous, the USTA overall did a great event.
Yeah, and sporting event I was watching over the past had some sort of, had a painless... it's 7 NFL because of thunderstorms, but they don't have to worry about that all teams. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they were in the off-season, as we'll call it, was terrific. Everyone loved it. All the matches very well. I think the fans, obviously the Heat, there's nothing to do, but they handled it. They were very as they could with as many different, giving the men a Heat rule, and then the men didn't go in the locker room and talk. There was always something. Of course, unfortunately, Asian controversy on court in the and which involved Williams, but still discussion, lots of debate. The public, the pride, the outsiders, and how it falls.
As a fan of tennis, sports that don't get fell in the NBA, etc. When it seems like a lot of us will only talk about sports or some of the others. So now everybody wants the officiating. So let's talk first umpire controversy first. Let's just zero in on specifically was at fault.
I think there's fault all around. Let's get real. Let's just Ramos, who usually doesn't do, not as familiar with him as I am, assigned the women's final. Serena Williams playing Namus. This is a big occasion for Serena and Slam to try and ultimately break the Margaret Court record. The favorite going in there, this Grand Slam final. Williams with 23 times there in the two celebrity attended match. So it was a big occasion. This was on the chair. Greg, it just kind of unraveled. I don't think we're a little specific because, quite frankly, if you can believe it, I remember my God telling me, make sure you're patient. So there's going to be no definitive to you on that. But I'm talking to players. I'm talking to both sides of it. Social media, I see all that and showing me on a daily basis throughout her life sexist and the racist remarks. It's very, addressed. But I think the bottom line, there's going to have to be, and how there's no question that players are given a lot of discretion to use their judgment. And when you have chair and coaxes a player to get back into a match, another umpire who apply the rules in a very by the law rule. You have a big rules are enforced, and that just in this particular fortnight who are really enforcing the rules, and that's created. And when they see the younger guys or the women see out and with these perfect chair and getting away with it, it's confusing. Well, why shouldn't I be able to at least have the enforcement of the rules as the guy? I do think when there is some. And are they enforcing the rules consent? Is this these are questions that need to be researched because findings in 48 hours or and letters and calls going is being written because there are too many mistakes and they're not factual out there. And get to the bottom of it because something that needs to be addressed.
Well, you know what I would you always want more than anything. So it's always very why that's their job as thin as possible and without stepping over the line. And what I would have liked to then is okay. He's going to come off the box. He's a player, and he's going to motivate to just hey, look, you can be respectful. That goes the exact almost robotic. They're supposed to be called. I don't care what the situation is. Really see the umpire in that circumstance a little bit more calm and actually with Serena the way the other this is what I have up and maybe getting the mics that would be helpful.
My understanding was warning, and this is another issue that gives soft warnings match. And so when you warning, as Serena did, and finds out it wasn't, there's lack of consistency used. Yep. And so she said to the umpire, to Ramos, I don't use coaching. That's ridiculous for coaching because he saw her some sort of hand signal. He says, I know you don't, Serena. He says, you know I don't use coaching. You know that. I know that. And I'm paraphrasing.
Sure.
Don't hold me to that. Was what do that. So she interpreted it was a soft warning, which her player, and I've seen all these soft. That's the way I actually would have was a formal warning. I realize that whether they have to come with the challenges where you have a red button, a penalty given, but so everyone's very caged. But the problem is that the Grand Slam Super come on court. This is tons of matches going on. You can't be. Would have hoped they would have been focusing on. Supervisor should have come out and Clary should have come out and just cage. I mean, what is there? Fine too. But there was confusion. The racket abuse of did it. That's that. But game penalty, and there's no question guys out there and these putting away with this type of language seems that it doesn't add up to the same thing. It's not equal. And so the two is that, what attitude do these, unfortunately, when you get into the pub of appeal, the punches, they don't understand the weight of what the rule is. Forced in a black and white in this Grand Slam matches. It's a guideline, quite frankly, and use it as a guideline, and then their judgment in how to enforce have gray. And their judgment and their tip on how they're going to enforce. And so there's much more nuance today. Many thousands to invite them to semi is going to be compiled because I think it's important to have feedback. Weed through get to the facts and find the officials and the players. No one needs another.
And by the way, from perspective, when you penalty called, popped in my head, the time to look and try to find out where they are to so-called cheating. I mean, the umpire does that.
I have one comment on this whole subject, every coaching, and just make it legal. And PGA Tour have on-court. Look, the issue is you don't have to, by the way, to shout something out. Take on all kinds of forms for the mother, a parent, a boyfriend, the bad boyfriend, shapes and sizes. With quote, player, it doesn't have any comes from their box, yet they are more of a proponent in that if they give the coach kick them out. Because the player, if in fact they think of that such, in this particular instance, I do in the New York Times by someone. She said, see the signals, and did, and that was confusion in the apparently Patrick did. And the funny thing, Greg, is that I said of him telling her to go to net, because to go to net against Naomi is a target-loving player, targets in practice. I'm going to charge net over, to me, the tactics to get rid of him. But, he gave some Serena act on it. What happened was Naomi hit some weak short to hit the short balls. No acting upon any that I saw. This whole thing with the coaching to, giving these guys more glue gave an entire controversy to me, unbelievable.
Well, is it?
Maybe gave him a heads up. We have you on to admit to it. Mm-hmm. I don't know. For him, why interview when you have such a controversy around his player? I have no idea.
I've always thought it was kind of strange to watch when you see the coach that are analyzing. 2 minutes later, the coaching their player. I don't coaches at any other level. They're retired, break or something. You don't see booth. I don't.
It's wearing all these of interest is what you're talking about. Continually comes up in this, as we've talked about. It's even if you're the person wearing them, have those boundaries. The producer pushing you, and the TV make the production more entertaining to deal with all the pressure. The right thing in this whole equation was. And I can't tell you, when I read Sally J. these other pieces, really well-respected for the fact that, shoes, you really can't respond the way she does. I saw he called this man, it was the most racist scene, and I think that Serena has had to deal with life. And so when you understand what she's gone through, start to understand her reaction, Greg, I feel so bad court. She is shouldering these entire women and everyone, all minorities, and so that she has to represent the impunity to her integrity, what to any other player, presents far more responsibility she feels than any on the pro tour. And marketing. I mean, if you watch almost every commercial was one that anchored the USTA She Is campaign for gender equality. These different factions like to their business to help them out there and attract fans. Then they're the first to come down on why she responded the way. She allowed it, but it was, and this is why it's important to, again, and reflect on it all and try and game moving forward.
But he talks about and how she can get lost. He talked about her at the outset has gotten lost in this. Serena, back to back. He has. We knew physically better and better. Is she's still not the final? She is pretty much of that tournament. Still a little bit ahead. Now the season's pretty much over. Chance in the finals. Serena will be back next year. Ready. And after what happened here, very wary and how Serena.
The players have supported Serena. I've seen plenty of them on too. They've congratulated Naomi as due, and she many years, hopefully, more great moments. And so we get lost, and you don't want the good players at the end of the day loudest. And if Serena's message possible, her track, which has been in aspects of her game, get focused and really get even in her pursuit of these two, take on the force and just speak for themselves. And because to me, I always speak the loudest. And when those sitting there throwing this, rum in, and they're trying to sell a story to see you on your come, they want an interview from you. Then because of course, let's face it, Serena was the big story in about every event. For all these people of work to earn their. You look at this, to me, I say, if I was Serena, I just I said it's done, right back to the grindstone. I would get. You know what? I'm going to come back even more determined, and I'm winning these titles.
And I don't know if she'll break the record next year. We've got a little bit of time. As far as the rest of the events, what's coming up now?
Well, we have a lot of great things up on Sunday morning, but I'm going to go. I'm very excited about that. Rogers event, how he does. And then, of course, frankly, for the women, Beijing players enter there. We're going to try and resurrect themselves. It's a different group, NWTA finals. We've done groups doing as well as we Kyrgios. We're going to try and salvage their year. And others, but we'll see Simona Naki back in action. Time off, they've had time to rest their bodies, and we hope that they're going to finish the year strong.
I'm sure we research on have a lot more to talk about.
Well, I'll be honest with you, again, in the hard for those outside, why this is just not a decision. It's not that way. It's not are interpreted. And when you see U.S. Open champion Novak and Billie Jean King, they're the ones on the court of how difficult the situation they are. So we ask you, obviously, welcome to share their. Remember Jean telling me, the more embrace them all, but we can put together, see if we can, find some resolution for the sport.
All right. In between shows, the next time too, do you have? I get out an awful lot about everything.
On Twitter, AC Leanne 10. They're quite often now, and started not that long ago. But our action and the input. As I said, we'll be having our update everyone on what's going on. Yes. We've had it's been hard to weave in all, but to do that too.
All right, fun, entertaining, country you want in a Grand Slam. We'll talk more tennis stuff. Still have more to go for the. And joining us once again, we'll talk to you. Thanks, Andrea. All right, tennis, don't forget. You can also MSN, so Andrea, follow us too. We'll let you here's announcements, things of that nature. Any other show on Prime Sport later on today is going to be the kickoff this season. Other football shows, and of course, Tennis Radio Network. So for Andrea, tuning into Prime Sports Tennis Radio Network.